Let's see. Let me check and see. There's always that awkward moment, making sure that we are live. We will have the Alliance people. Let's see if Lori will tell us when we're live. And Tapestry, and as folks kind of join us, please say hi. Okay, we are live. I see our Alliance friends. So I'm going to share it to my page. Okay. Hey, how are you guys? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
Sarah
for
and Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.
So how about we start with introductions. Thank y'all everyone for joining our live, and we are so thrilled to have you guys from Tapestry here with us. I have had the pleasure of visiting Tapestry, and it is such this amazing, peaceful, and healing place. Sarah, why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at Tapestry, and yeah.
Yeah, I've been at Tapestry for 2 years now. I live very close to where I work, so that is a huge bonus. I love this area so much. I'm one of the dietitians that work here, so I work really closely with the clients to help them just restore a healing relationship that they have, not only with food, but with themselves. And one of the amazing things that we've been doing here is ecotherapy, because it's a huge component to just connecting with themselves on a deeper level and helping them ground. So I'm pretty lucky that I'm a dietitian doing something that has nothing to do with food. So it's pretty awesome. I love it.
That's amazing. And Amanda, tell everybody about you and what you do at Tapestry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda. I'm the clinical director here at Tapestry. I've been here for about a year and a half. I have the pleasure of overseeing all 3 of our locations, and I get a great deal of time at each location. Right now, since COVID and all that fun stuff, so I get to hang out with Sarah a lot. Yeah, since I've been here, we've established a program called Ecotherapy that we do with our clients at our adolescent facility, our adult facility, and our outpatient program. We engage in ecotherapy, and of course, we're pretty setting we have. And to take clients out in nature and reconnect with their body, try and mind-body balance. Something no one told me when I moved here from South Florida is that forest here, but also had the pleasure of doing some ecotherapy inside.
Yeah. So Sarah, tell everybody where you guys are, because I know where y'all are.
Yeah, so we are in Brevard, North Carolina, which is right outside of Asheville. Very, very great region in Western North Carolina. One of the neat places about Brevard is that it's located kind of right at the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, but we're in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And there's a national park right here in Brevard called Pisgah National Forest, and there's also a few other state parks too. So it's just a great area. It's a mecca for the outdoors and a place for people to come together and connect with each other, just doing different activities in the forest.
Yeah.
Great.
I personally, that is actually my place. I grew up spending my summers right outside of Asheville. I've shared this with Amanda before, at a camp called Green Cove, and it is literally still my happy place. So when I first got to visit Tapestry and just see it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, of course, this is such a place of healing, like in all sense of surrounding, literally, mountains around you and access to such amazing nature. Amanda, how do you guys, incorporate y'all's amazing backyard into ecotherapy? Like, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis for clients?
That's a great question. So ecotherapy is part of our group therapy. We do ecotherapy once to twice a week, and it lasts anywhere between 1 to 3 hours. We pick a different spot that we go each and every time. Something else about Tapestry is we utilize a theoretical orientation called acceptance and commitment therapy, which is really a lot about acceptance and moving away from experiential avoidance, which I think we all engage in some type of experiential avoidance in our life. So ecotherapy really lends itself to that. And so we can go into nature and work on a myriad of things, whether it's accepting our bodies and, accepting our bodies in nature and taking pictures of ourselves with like selfies in nature and kind of working on acceptance there, or utilize different metaphors. ACT is really big into metaphors, and we have leaves and twigs, and we can watch leaves moving down a river and kind of like visualize our thoughts, moving away from us, different things like that. So I got away from the question, but we do.
No, you're good. This is awesome.
It's a couple hours at a time. We have a group curriculum that we use throughout Ecotherapy to really highlight acceptance and commitment therapy, as well as helping the clients ground themselves in nature and in themselves, be in their body, in the moment, non-judgmentally, and just kind of being.
Yeah. So Sarah, how do you guys really tie in, the maybe even like the food and body piece into, going on a hike or just sitting by a stream, tell me more about that. I mean, this is something I feel like I could do all day long.
Yeah, it's really, I think that's so important that you mentioned like just the nutrition aspect of it. Because like we have to be going out into nature and to be nourished, to really truly be present in the moment. And so I have this unique place here where I can really educate them and support them, meet their needs nutritionally so that they can actually be fully engaged in the moment and to do all those amazing activities that Amanda just said that we do day in and day out. Because if there's any kind of nutritional deficiencies, it's really, really tough to be able to obviously have a conversation with someone, or to even be present and to move your body in really joyful and mindful ways. Because if there's an imbalance within your body, it's going to be hard to be imbalanced, having balance when you're actually out in the world. And even
I know. Yeah, I mean, growing up, like I said, I spent my summers up there. And even when I was in my eating disorder, when I went to North Carolina and I was in the mountains, it was like the one place where I really didn't use behaviors, because it was truly like I just felt so connected and healing. And how do you kind of balance that if you do have a client that comes in and, exercise issues? A lot of people hear hiking and they think like, that is a form of exercise. I think hiking, and I think of it as a joyful way to move my body. How you take someone from, like Sarah says, from, has that tendency to putting it into joyful movement. I mean, that's quite a challenge.
Yeah, we really work with them to understand just where they are currently. What is their relationship not only with their body, but what is their relationship with movement? And how can we make like little small, like 1-degree shifts and shifting it into something that is more joyful, where they feel safe in their body again, and in a very non-judgmental way, be present with others. Because one of the things that we do, especially now that it's getting warmer, and I hope once we start lifting restrictions and parks open
Yes.
there's places where we will go swimming during ecotherapy in the summertime here. And so you can imagine like that's a huge exposure therapy. And so really working with clients where they are, establishing individualized goals. And for some clients, going out and just putting a bathing suit on in public and going swimming is so terrifying. So working with them like nutritionally and also therapeutically can help really allow them to engage in this completely, 100%.
And just to what Sarah, everything is individualized. We used an individual treatment plan for each and every client. And like I said, broken record with ACT, but leaning away from that experiential avoidance, we ask clients to really be in the moment with us in nature. And even clients that come with us struggle with obsessive exercise or over exercise, they might come to ecotherapy and be like, yes, I want to go to Tapestry. They do ecotherapy, let me exercise. Well, it's really different than that. And it's building a tolerance to moving your body in a different way. You might not be at a gym, out in nature. And while we're out there, sometimes we go out there and really do a whole lot of movement. We just sit out there. And Sarah does an awesome exercise in which I got some feedback from our clients right before this call that they loved. And I guess they said made it pretty emotional, which was writing a letter to their bodies from nature, like whether it be the river or the tree, and kind of just how non-judgmental that is, and being in nature, accepting yourself for what it is and how someone else you.
Oh my gosh, I've got chills. Like that's such a beautiful exercise. And having lived experience with an eating disorder and loving nature as well, I can just see how that could be so therapeutic and really challenging and pretty emotional on that front. I mean, I think I would love to hear, what are some of the kind of mindfulness practices that you guys are utilizing within the ecotherapy?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of grounding. So just a mindful walk, really getting in touch with like their breath. Nature is really incredible where it kind of forces you to be in touch with yourself in the moment. You're tapping into your five senses so that you can have that connection with your mind and your body. And so a lot of my mindfulness practices that we do is focusing on your breath, focusing on your body, focusing on just the earth beneath their feet, the water that they can touch. There's a lot of things that we can do that just have to do with the five senses so that they are feeling safe and comfortable in their body in a really mindful way.
Yeah. Amanda, did you have anything to add?
Well, I think, I know for myself, I'm usually all in my head, right? There's so many thoughts on. And for me, growing up in South Florida, the beach was my nature, right? I always went out to the beach by the ocean, and that's kind of was my thing. So it was an adjustment coming here. But being at the beach, one of the things, and I used to hear from clients in Florida, like all the time you think about, what is everyone else thinking about me? Everyone else is like such
Yes.
a conversation. So being out in nature and being out here in Western North Carolina, there are a lot of people that are on the trails. You're not out there by yourself. So even when Sarah's talking about going swimming, it is peaceful and it is beautiful, and there are other people. And so accepting your body the way it is really part of the mindful movement, if you will.
Yes.
Using this non-judgmental piece of mindfulness. So it's not really about, as some people think of, like meditation and having your brain go elsewhere. It's really focusing in and being so intentional about this internal experience that someone's experiencing.
So what do you do if like you have someone from a big city and they're all of a sudden in small town Western North Carolina and aren't a big fan of nature? How do you approach that type of patient?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was raising my hand. I think that was
yeah.
I was like, where the heck am I?
Yes.
It's so easy to just fall in love with it. So I think Sarah speaks to that, because we do have those clients that come from the big city not used to.
Yeah, it's fun. That's a great question. When you said that, it really reminded me of just like two clients in particular. One who came from New York City and had never seen waterfalls before. And so we live in the land of the waterfalls. Like literally, that is the motto of this little town that we live and serve in. And so just taking them out into nature and to see like really just majestic nature that they haven't seen before can absolutely sometimes just steal their hearts, and they fall in love. And they realize that, nature can absolutely be a part of their life after Tapestry.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect into my next question about, right, we're all in quarantine and we know that, getting outside, just having sun on your face is so good for, mind, body, spirit. And even in recovery, one of my tools I utilized early on was just literally going and sitting outside and just having the sun on my face. In this type of crazy world that we're living in, we do have folks that are, really struggling with their eating disorders, really struggling with their mental health, and not having an outlet. How could they kind of bring the ecotherapy inside maybe their tiny apartment that only has like 2 windows in a big New York City, building? Like, I mean, how can they start to think about really creative ways?
It's a great question. I think that we do, like I said, temperate rains a lot here. And so sometimes we even have to bring it inside. So even just taking a walk outside of like your building, whether it be an apartment complex, and gathering things, and sometimes it's even trash, like you see trash outside or in nature. grass, leaves, twigs, mulch. Something that we did recently is making a mandala out of things we collect, like pretty much just right around our building. And so it's easy just to walk around and find a couple of things, even if it is like in New York in an apartment building. I'm sure there's plenty, might be odd things, but you can find things as you're walking around and creating something with that to help kind of ground yourself in that present moment. Um, Sarah, do you have other things that you guys do? I can think of a couple other.
Gardening. So if if you live somewhere where you have the luxury of maybe doing like a rooftop garden, or even growing herbs inside, but just connecting with nature in that way so that you're allowing something to grow and you can kind of foster taking care of something. Succulents are a great way to also be a part of doing that. They don't require a whole lot of care, so that's even better. But yeah, indoor gardening, rooftop gardening would be a really awesome idea.
Yeah, I've seen actually some folks that all of a sudden they've made their little back, an apartment patio. They're like growing tomatoes and doing lots of creative things. And I just think it's so cool because I love gardening. And it's how it's one of the ways that like I cope with my anxiety. It's just, I think getting your hands in the dirt. Yes, Liz, houseplants for the win, she's commenting. And I want to say, Sage, I'm so glad you went outside with your nieces after, a struggling day. I think that's such a therapeutic thing, right? If you were struggling during the day and you can get outside, it's even better to get outside with kids because I think they can mimic such joyful body movement, and I want to go back. What are maybe some advice for folks that, Sarah, you can go first, for advice for folks that are struggling with exercise and body movement, especially in this insulating time? What are some thoughts for them?
Yeah, so for those who are just struggling with movement, is that your question?
Yeah, struggling. I've gotten a lot of feedback from folks that they're really struggling with body movement or exercise urges during this time that we're all kind of quarantined and isolated. So maybe what are some thoughts or advice or helpful skills that they might be able to utilize?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that right now that it's really hard because there's a lot of restrictions and you just don't have the accessibility that we had before. And then also if you think about those that really are like, we have some clients in the past and currently who are just so afraid, they've had so much shame kind of projected onto their bodies by others that they're just afraid to even go outside. And I think just all the anxieties and the unknowns and the grief right now is kind of just enhanced that. It's totally heightened. They're just their own anxieties they have. But I think just just doing some opposite action there. And like, even if you're like, no, I can't do this. I can't go outside, just going for it, having like a habit and a routine, because that can just be really helpful. But yeah, right now, just being safe and trying to figure out what is safe for me to do. Where can I go? Because there's, even though we have a lot of forests and state parks here, there's been a lot of closures. And so that has been a challenge for some people. I'm a mountain biker. And so like me personally, I've been touched by it. I've had to do things a little bit differently. So I think really being okay and accepting that, if you are stuck in a routine and you're like, say, a runner or a mountain biker, it's okay right now to maybe find something different. Maybe you want to learn to like go a little bit slower. Yoga, that's one thing that I've been doing a lot lately. So something that you do enjoy, that is a different form of movement, might be something cool to learn right now during quarantine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or advice? Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add to that, even things like when we think about getting so stuck in our ways or I know I have a routine, I think a lot of people do, and there's so many great things that come with the routine. And often when our routine gets taken from us without our kind of consent, it can get really scary and really uncomfortable. And so like Sarah said, of course, there's like this opposite emotion action, doing something that you really just doing the opposite of it. Also trying, as she mentioned earlier, making that 1 degree change. So maybe you're feeling like you haven't even gotten out of your apartment for many days. And really the simple task of like walking outside and getting the mail might be just enough to like start doing things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I was going to say is when it comes to thoughts, our thoughts can really take over, and get us stuck in this process. So doing something that can be a little bit silly, and you think, like for me, I think of roller skating. Like I'm a huge roller skater. I feel like I should be back in the 80s, but I think it's so fun. And so doing something that you can move your body and maybe you haven't tried before, but now's the time to try it. And you're like, I'm just going to do this because it's different. And you almost give yourself permission. Like I can't continue to do the same thing that I was.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just cracking up about the roller skating. No, I think those are great. And what, y'all have that feedback or is it just me? Are y'all hearing this feedback? Okay, I think we're back. We have heard a lot too about folks that are struggling with the isolation. What are some ideas or thoughts on how people, and yes, things are lifting now, but I think there's still this fear that a lot of people have really internalized about going outside and seeing people. And so maybe some thoughts on kind of overcoming that fear while still practicing safe social distancing, but also like creative ways to kind of help combat that isolation feeling.
Yeah. Sarah, do you want to go first?
I heard only the last part of that.
Okay, so like combating the isolation feelings and just kind of feeling stuck inside.
Yeah.
I think that so many, of us can relate to that experience. And similarly to like having your routine taken from you and really changed a bit, combating the isolation is finding ways to connect. And that might be even what we're doing right now, like connecting with people that you would typically not be able to see. I have so many of my friends do these big Zoom meetings with their families that are so fun. And finding, I think someone commented, you had mentioned McCall, like they walked out with their nieces and even just had that connection. I know when walking outside with kids or pets or something like that, even just waving to people and seeing other people, I think is a way to connect and just say hi and,
Sarah, did you hear the question at all?
Hers is so glitchy.
It is. It's very glitchy. Okay, we're going to see if maybe she can come back to us because I think she's frozen right now. She kind of comes in and out.
Yeah.
So actually, we just got a question that struggling with lack of structure during quarantine and sometimes use exercise to provide that for me. Now I'm looking for new hobbies to keep myself busy. I think that's a great idea. I think now is such a great time to find some new hobbies. What are maybe some thoughts that, you guys tell your clients or maybe even yourselves that new hobbies and activities that don't involve exercise?
Yes. So one of our clients mentioned this to me and I thought it was such a cool idea, and it's linked to nature a little bit, but she was collecting flowers from like around our property and she was pressing them into her journal and like making her doing just like a really artistic journal and trying to add to it. And she was mentioning some of it was even in just her day-to-day life. Like you could make a schedule for the day and just using nature to kind of add to it to help ground in that moment, in that day. Like this is a flower from today in this journal. So keeping contact with that present moment. And like you said, finding hobbies that you wouldn't typically have time to do. And they can be simple, like even creating Pinterest boards. Like sometimes for me, that's even hard to like sit down and do that. So like finding time to spend some time and energy in different things, whether it be Pinteresting or gardening or doing a coloring book or cooking. You don't have to learn something totally new. It's just putting your time and energy into something different that you wouldn't typically be spending as much time doing.
Yeah, I think right now, there's so much, and we've hit on this on some of our other lives, that there's so much talk about like, oh, Einstein created the gravity theory or whatever, and we should all like be remodeling our houses, learning how to knit, and it's like, or you can just hang, you can just sit, you can watch a movie, you can watch TV. Like giving yourself permission that every day doesn't have to be this very productive, structured day, because we are in such a crazy, crazy time.
Sarah's joining me on my screen.
We should have done this all along. Now, look, I think I can even take Sarah off. I'm going to remove the frozen Sarah.
Perfect.
Oh, that's so much better. Okay, that's great. Well, perfect timing, because I did just quickly want to hit on Sarah, talk a little bit about, because I love Tapestry because y'all are in such a beautiful house, so it's a home-like feeling. Talk a little bit about y'all's culinary program and also how you pull the outside in with, nutrition.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we currently have a lot of raised garden beds in the backyard that I'm hoping our weather is going to actually cooperate with us. It's been like 30 degrees. We had I think they call blackberry winter. And so we are going to be incorporating in our ecotherapy a lot of different gardening. We're going to be teaching our clients just the basics of gardening and raising plants and herbs and incorporating that into their meal plan. So it's kind of the full effect that they're going to be learning, from garden to plant, and then how to actually nourish themselves with what they're making. And it's just more fulfilling for them to see it kind of from the start to making it to their plate, and then them enjoying it in their community, growing it together. It's a really awesome.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, because I think you guys have such a unique program in that it's you do have not just so much nature, but also the beautiful house and the raised beds with the garden, and that's something that I think is so absolutely unique for a client to be able to garden and then see and enjoy with time maybe the fruits of their labor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
that's
also so small. Something that we've been doing, especially during this time and before, is kind of incorporating clients in the culinary. Are able to prepare meals for the whole community. So someone's grandmother had, I think it was lasagna, a lasagna recipe that they've been making and they haven't made for years, or really let themselves enjoy. Participating in the culinary experience with their peers and all working together to cook this meal together.
Yeah, I think that is amazing. I know that there's so much healing that comes with kind of, the eating disorder robs us of the joy of eating, and especially of what it can bring you in terms of memories and connection. And I think that is just so cool. And I think it's really cool when you can have all the clients in the kitchen working together, and it creates such a sense of community. Because how many beds do you guys have?
So in our Brevard residential house, we have 6 beds.
Yeah.
And we have a transitional living space that also has 6 beds. So the most it's 12. Adolescent facility, it's the same. It's primary mental health at our adolescent facility, but even that, like you said, creating connection around meal time, it helps with anxiety, depression. It's a new skill that like that.
Yes. I mean, yeah. And so tell us real quick, all 3 are in Brevard, right? Or within the area? They're
in the area. So we have our adult program, dietitian, that's in Brevard, North Carolina. 6 beds. We have 6 living beds as well, so a total of 12. That's in Brevard. Then in Fletcher, we have our adolescent program, the primary mental health program, treat all emotional disorders. Also has 12 residential beds, and we treat PHP and IOP there as well. And then in Asheville, we have our primary mental health program. It specializes in trauma and, of course, emotional disorders. And so in Asheville, and all of these are about 30 minutes from
right.
It's PHP, IOP. So those are our 3 different programs.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for taking the time, and give everyone at Tapestry our love. We are so thankful for you guys, and I can't wait to get back up there, hopefully soon.
We can't wait.
I need my mountain therapy. I need my ecotherapy. Thank you guys for the amazing work that you guys are doing, and spending the time with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.